I've spent the last month wearing two fitness rings, the Samsung Galaxy Ring and the Ultrahuman Ring Air. And I've been doing this really to compare the data and figure out which one is the best option. Now, I jump back and forth between Android and iPhone. If you've been around this channel for a while, you know that. And I also try different fitness trackers. And so I thought to myself, maybe a fitness ring could be the one that would provide consistent data for me as I switch between an Apple Watch Ultra and maybe the Samsung Galaxy Watch Ultra and then over to Garmin. I end up having data gaps in different platforms because I'm switching back and forth all the time. So maybe the ring could be my consistent data point. And even the ability to get data, fitness data or movement data when I don't want to wear a watch at all. So when Samsung came out with their Galaxy Ring, it's really the first wearable ring from a phone provider, from a company that makes phones also. The main manufacturers with phones here in the US is Apple, Samsung, and Google. And so Samsung's the first one to come out with a ring. Now, this ring is Android only. It's only supported on Android, even though some other Samsung wearable devices are available on iOS and Android. This ring is only going to be available on Android. So I know that I'm always going to have an Android phone for it to sync with. Doesn't mean that I always have to be carrying an Android phone, but I have to have one. Now, the Ultrahuman Ring Air works on both iPhone or Android, so I can just decide to pair it to the iPhone if I'm carrying an iPhone, or switch over and pair it to an Android phone if I'm going to be using an Android phone. So the Ultrahuman Ring Air is great because it is cross-platform. It will work on either, so you're not locked in. Now, let's run through some of the specs, and then we'll look at the apps. We'll talk about the experience as well. The specs are interesting because the price points are pretty close to the same. Samsung is often running deals and stuff like that. The retail price for the Galaxy Ring is $399. The retail price for the Ring Air at the time that I'm recording this is $350. A lot of times you can find some sort of a discount to get the Samsung Ring down to around $350 as well. Now, I wear a size 10 for my rings, and both of these rings fit the exact same. No differences here in how they fit and feel, even as I switch them between fingers. I do wear them on my ring fingers, and it seems that the manufacturers often have you wear it on the index finger. I don't like the experience of it on my index finger, which is why I wear them on my ring fingers. Now, let's talk about color options. In the Samsung Galaxy Ring, you have titanium, black, silver, and gold, and so it's a titanium finish with black, silver, and gold. In the Ultrahuman Ring Air, there's a raw titanium, aster black, matte gray, bionic gold, space silver, and I've seen color options come and go, and so things change a little bit over with Ultrahuman, but ultimately the ring looks good. Both of them actually look really good. Now, as far as sensors, the Galaxy Ring Air has an accelerometer, a skin temperature sensor, and also a PPG sensor. That's the one that emits the light so that it can measure your blood volume and get your pulse, essentially, and both of these have that. So the Galaxy Ring has the accelerometer, PPG, skin temperature. The Ultrahuman Ring Air has the PPG, skin temperature, a 6-axis motion sensor, red, green, and infrared LEDs. And so that's listed in the sensors. I have noticed with the Galaxy Ring that it also has the two different colors as well. So green on the outer sensors and red in the middle sensor. And so on the Galaxy Ring, there are actually 3 sensors. This seems a lot like the Aura Ring. Now, the Aura Ring, which I've reviewed in other video, has like 3 bumps and essentially 3 sensors there. And the criticism, and I don't think it's warranted, but the criticism that the Ultrahuman Ring has gotten is that there's just one big sensor here in the middle instead of having 3 sensors spaced out. And even if you look at these sensors, and it's kind of hard to see, but if you look at the sensors, really the Ultrahuman sensor is just all one module, as opposed to the Galaxy Ring and even the Aura Ring having 3 separate, the sensors are just spaced out. I haven't found that that provides any additional accuracy or anything like that, but then again, I'm not able to scientifically test these. I only have my experiences. So if we look at the ring side by side, with this particular Ultrahuman Ring, you can see that the Ultrahuman Ring is a bit wider. The Galaxy Ring has a little bit of a concave in the middle of it, which is an interesting feeling. Overall, I think they're pretty much about exactly the same weight, but according to the specs, the Ultrahuman Ring, depending on the size, is about 0.1 grams heavier, which you're not going to be able to tell that difference by wearing them. I definitely can't. I only know that there's a weight difference because I looked at the specs. Now, the material that these are built out of, the material on the Samsung Ring is titanium, and the Ultrahuman is titanium with epoxy resin. And so there's epoxy resin along the inside and then titanium along the outer side of the ring. Now, I have to believe that there's also something like that as well with the Galaxy Ring, because if this was all titanium, there has to be something else that's covering the sensors itself, because titanium is not transparent. I mean, you wouldn't be able to cover those with titanium. So there has to be something there, probably also like an epoxy resin. Now, the battery life advertised is 7 days on the Galaxy Ring, 6 days on the Ultrahuman Ring Air. I don't know if that is extremely accurate. I think that if I was just to wear the rings and not do any sort of fitness activity, I could probably get pretty close to a week of use out of the Galaxy and maybe close to 6 days out of the Ring Air as well. I have noticed, because I have had the Ring Air for over a year, and as there's been some software updates, I feel like the battery life has improved with the Ring Air, and that's kind of different because you would think something with such a small battery, perhaps the battery life would degrade over time, but I actually have gotten better battery life as there's been software updates. But still, I'm not really experiencing the advertised rates because I work out pretty heavily during the week for about an hour and a half to 2 hours most mornings. And so there's a lot of activity that these are tracking. Both of them have the ability to auto detect activity that's taking place, and it's going to start recording that information. So when it does that, it's obviously going to be using the sensors more. It's going to be using the accelerometers and stuff like that more as well. And so you're going to end up with decreased battery life there. I have to say, from my experiences, I get about 4 days of battery life out of the Galaxy Ring and 3 to 4 days, depending, out of the Ultrahuman Ring Air. Now, what I do really like about the Galaxy Ring is the charging brick that it comes with. It comes with a device that has a built-in battery. Basically looks like a little ring case. You put the ring in there, you close it, and it starts charging, and you can charge the ring a couple of times off of the battery that's built in. That means that it's one self-contained device that I can carry with me, and I think there's extreme value in that. Not only is a good-looking carrying case for you to put your ring in when you're not wanting to wear it, but it also charges your ring, and like I said, you can get a couple of full charge cycles out of that battery, and then you can just top off the ring case with USB-C charger, and then you're ready to charge your ring a few more times. With the Ultrahuman Ring Air, you have a little charging dock that is USB-C, but it does not have any built-in battery, so you do have to plug into a cable in order to charge. And because of that being a very lightweight little puck that you place your ring on, a cable sticking out of that, I've had it fall off of my nightstand a couple of times, and I have to go searching for the ring because the cable, just the weight of the cable will pull it down. And I don't have to worry about that with the Galaxy Ring because the Galaxy Ring just goes on the charging case. I don't have to have it plugged in during that time. And of course, I could travel with it and not have to worry about carrying additional cables with me. Now, another contributor to probably longer battery life is there is newer Bluetooth technology in the Galaxy Ring. It's using Bluetooth Low Energy version 5.4, whereas to my knowledge, the Ring Air is using Bluetooth Low Energy 5.0. That's what I've been able to find. I haven't been able to confirm that completely, but I do know that it does not have 5.4, which is the latest technology that is being used in the Galaxy Ring. And so probably a little bit of battery optimization there, which is probably one of the reasons why the Galaxy Ring tends to last a little bit longer for me. So let's take a look at the app. The first thing that I was a little bit irritated with when I first got into using this is that under Samsung Health, like the Samsung Health Monitor app, doesn't do anything for me. As you can see here, it says no compatible watch found. I did this on purpose. I removed my Samsung watch so that you can see there's nothing in here and there's nothing tracking. Obviously, the health monitor is for ECG and sleep apnea, but the health monitor app I would think would have at least your heart rate or something like that from the Ring. That doesn't do anything. You have to go into the Samsung Health app itself, in which then you're going to get an energy score, which is measured based on your sleep, how much the Ring detects you're moving throughout the day. So you can see here, I'm good to go. And it gives me a little bit of additional information that helps me understand how that score is determined, which is my sleep time, consistency, bed wake time, and all of this additional information that it's tracking. It gives me my heart rate during sleep, which is great. It gives me my heart rate variability during sleep. And then it should be giving me my skin temperature during sleep as well, but it doesn't have any data currently on here. And it also gives me my respiratory rate during sleep also, which is interesting. I don't know how the Ring is able to determine that unless it's just by movement, maybe because your body moves when you breathe in and breathe out. So I guess maybe that's how it's tracking that. Now, if we scroll down, you can see it has tracked some of my workouts. I have not been wearing my watch the last week or so. So this is information that has either been tracked automatically by the Ring or that I've entered manually. So let's take a look at that. You can see that we have an auto track run here, and you can see it's a 3.45 mile run and the amount of time that I was running. This is not super accurate. This is really closer to a 4.5 mile run. And it probably has to do with, and you can see it's 40 minutes and 20 seconds. I was actually running for about 48 minutes. And so not only was it maybe just a little bit off on the start and stop times and didn't track the entire run, but it's not tracking at the same rate that some of my other devices, like the Garmin that I wear, the pedometer that's on my shoe that connects to Zwift when I'm running on the treadmill, stuff like that. The bike activity I had to manually enter, and that's because I was on a stationary bike and the Ring just doesn't know what to do with that because I'm not physically moving. I'm not moving at a specific pace or anything like that the Ring is able to detect. And so I had to manually enter that. And you can see I have a whole bunch of other running activities and walking activities that were automatically tracked by the Ring as well. So that's pretty cool. I mean, if I tap on one of these, you can see that it gives me details about that. It gives me my average cadence, my steps during that workout, calories, average pace. Some of these things are just off a little bit. You can see the heart rate data overlaid with the pace as well, which is kind of cool. Then you can see how much time I spent in the heart rate zones. And then I can also add manual notes. And you can see here it says this data is from Galaxy Ring. So it's nice that it automatically tracks that information and I don't have to manually start and stop within the app. It's nice that our Ring has that feature. Now, if we look down, we have our basic daily activity. This is steps, active calories, all of that good stuff. And it's tracking that from the Ring, just like it would from the watch. And some of this stuff could even be tracked just by carrying your phone, which shows my lowest and highest heart rate for the day. And of course, I can go and look at that information and also do a manual measurement as well. We have our steps counter. We have our sleep score. So if we look at the sleep tracking, you can see we've got information in here for that. My overall sleep score, my time, physical recovery, restfulness, all of that stuff, sleep stages. And so it's great that we actually have this information, and all of this is being pulled in by just the Ring because I've just been wearing the Galaxy Ring. If we continue to scroll down, there's sleep coaching. This is stuff that the app does. We can enter the amount of calories we consumed. We can enter our weight. We also have cycle tracking. We could track our water. And then we have the AGE's index, which actually only works if you have the watch. We have stress, which is measured here. And I don't think it's super accurate. Right now, it says that I'm average to high. Earlier, it was almost all the way high. And I really hadn't done much of anything. So I don't know how accurate this is. And you can see it's boom bouncing up and down all over the board. And I really, like, my day's been pretty chill. So I don't know how accurate that is. And then we also have our blood oxygen during sleep as well, which is great. So a lot of good information here. I'm okay with this. This app provides okay information. I would say it's pretty equivalent to what you would get if you were using an Apple Watch and you had the Apple Health app. Now, if we move over to another device and look at the Ultrahuman app, the Ultrahuman app has gotten pretty intense over the last year or so with all of the information. You can see here we have a caffeine window that helps us understand when we shouldn't consume caffeine anymore. We've got our sleep index here, and if I tap on that, we're getting all sorts of information about our sleep, and the data just seems easier to consume. Like, you're probably already noticing, even just looking at the sleep data while I was sleeping, I mean, it's easier for me to see what is there. It's also measuring movements, like if I was moving around in my sleep, my heart rate variability, advanced sleep biomarkers as well. And you can see I took a break. I hadn't been wearing the Ring all week. Sometimes I'm wearing it, sometimes I'm not. You can see tosses and turns measured, oxygen saturation, temperature, all of that stuff just from my sleep. It gives me sleep debt as well. Do I have a sleep deficit? Do I need to sleep more? This helps inform me as to whether or not I should maybe get a little bit more extra sleep. Obviously, the Galaxy app does that as well by giving me a sleep score. I can decide, whoa, my sleep score is a little low. Maybe I should go to bed early tonight. So the Galaxy Ring does track that. It just, the way that Ultrahuman shows that data, I think is a little bit better. We have our dynamic recovery. We have our daily movement, which you can see today is not the best for me. I haven't worked out yet today, but my movement score over time, it also shows me my steps and activity, active hours, total calories consumed active and resting, workout frequency, and all of that stuff. We've got my stress rhythm here. And so if I tap on that, you can see I have been pretty relaxed. See, just like I said, I've been pretty chill today. Not 5 minutes of stress, apparently. And it was probably after I drank some coffee from Black Rifle Coffee Company this morning. Stimulant measurement as well. So just lots of data in here. I don't even think we're halfway down the page yet. As we keep going, we've got my heart rate, cardio age, the temperature deviation, my HRV, resting heart rate, VO2 max. We have some goals that we can set up, like SMART goals, like did I reach a certain amount of steps, certain amount of active hours, and all of that stuff. It just helps us understand if we're reaching the goals that we've set for ourselves. We get this timeline, shows us our battery, and then this is just the first page here. And that's all the data here on the first page. I can swipe between days as well and get additional information. And so, in my opinion, the Ultrahuman app is just much more mature. I don't think that the Ultrahuman Ring itself is doing a whole lot more than the Galaxy Ring. I just think that the app is more mature. Samsung went with, here's the basic data set that we can provide. And to be completely fair, Apple really did the same thing initially with the Apple Watch and has brought in new features from time to time. But there are other apps that can utilize the same data and give you much more information. And I think that's what Ultrahuman has done. They've got a ring that's consistent, that works well, provides the information that the app needs to be able to do all of the things that it needs to do so that it can present us with a lot of different data. So while the data from the Samsung Health app is useful and very easy to understand and pretty basic by today's standards, the Ultrahuman app has a ton more data, potentially so much that you can almost get lost in it if you spent too much time digging around and not really understanding what each thing means. So when it comes down to it, which is the better ring option? I think it comes down to a couple of things. First of all, what platform are you on? If you're on Android and you're a lifetime Android user and you're going to be using an Android device, whether it be a Google, a Samsung, or really any other Android device, I think you're safe to go with the Galaxy Ring. You are going to need to install the Samsung Wearable app and also the Samsung Health app in order to utilize those, but those are available across all Android devices. Now, if you think that you may be switching to an iOS device or you jump back and forth, or perhaps you're an iOS user and you're just thinking about maybe Samsung is an interesting next step for you, I would say probably the Ultrahuman Ring is a better option. Not only is it a little bit cheaper, but the data is much more robust. And then if you also wanted a continuous glucose monitor, they offer that and it's integrated into the app as well. I've actually made a video about my experiences using a glucose monitor that works in conjunction with my phone and what that experience is like not being a person that has diabetes or has any real risk of being a diabetic, but it's interesting information, and we can use all of this information to identify areas that we can work on to produce better health. So I really do think Samsung's done a good job with their Ring, especially this being a first generation device, and Ultrahuman has made a couple of devices already, so they're a little bit mature in the smart ring space. So I think Samsung's done a good job. But for me, I would ultimately want the flexibility of being cross-platform. Combine that with the over-the-top data that their app is producing. And so for me personally, the Ultrahuman Ring Air is the better option for me. But if you are in the Samsung ecosystem, you have a Samsung smartwatch, you have a Samsung phone, and you already have all of the Samsung things, adding the Galaxy Ring might be the best choice for you. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Which ring do you see as the clear winner, and which one would you choose? I've got links down in the description to both of these rings should you want to check out the available color options, the pricing, and all of that good stuff. Check out those links, and let's talk about it down in the comment section. We'll see you in the next video.